But right now, Ken Cabb is with us, an attorney in Ohio who is also, it should be noted, a life member of the National Rifle Association and a certified NRA firearms instructor. How you doing, Ken?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Cam?
I'm great. Thanks for joining us tonight.
It's a pleasure. I'm enjoying your show.
Well, thank you, sir. You wrote a piece that ran in the Cleveland Jewish News on Friday, and this was in response to something that the National Council of Jewish Women had put out saying reforming our gun laws was a, quote, moral imperative, right?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, what exactly were they calling for, Ken?
Well, I think underlying everything, they're calling for a gun ban. Folks would like to reinstitute the Clinton-era gun ban and then some.
Uh-huh. All right. And so what made you decide, you know, I'm not just going to read this and say, nah, this is what's wrong with it. I'm going to actually take pen to paper. I'm going to write a rebuttal.
Well, I think their thinking is fuzzy. It's wrong. And it's really quite dangerous in the long run. The Second Amendment has a very, very prominent place in our Bill of Rights, and they would like to substitute their judgment for our founding fathers and the government.
Do you, you know, it seems to me like this is a sort of a common attitude among the gun control crowd that for whatever reason, when they look at the Bill of Rights, when we look at the Bill of Rights, they have the correct, quote-unquote, interpretation, whereas, you know, folks like you and I can, we're just, you know, we're doofuses, whatever the plural of doofus would be, doofi, I guess, when it comes to knowing our constitutional rights.
Well, when I went to law school and I took constitutional law, the professor said, well, the Second Amendment applies to the National Guard. And at that time, I was young and I thought he was right. But obviously, he was wrong. And if you study a little bit of history and if you read the leading cases on it, D.C. versus Heller and McDowell versus Chicago, there's a real constitutional issue here that's important to the country.
Well, it is. And a matter of fact, you know, it's interesting. I guess the Cato Institute had a roundtable discussion. I don't know if this was earlier today or late last week, but Dennis Hennigan of the Brady campaign was there and said at one point, quote, the Second Amendment is like no other right. It is, in my view, the most dangerous right. It demands its own unique constitutional jurisprudence that is highly deferential to the very, very difficult judgments that our elected officials have to make. In other words, look, don't look at it like it's the First Amendment. Don't look at it like it's the Fourth Amendment or the Fifth Amendment. It doesn't really matter, in the words of the gun control advocates.
Well, I think there was a time when many people felt that way about the First Amendment, and they were also wrong.
Absolutely. So what kind of response has your column generated?
Mostly it's been very favorable. I haven't seen the next issue yet, but I've gotten a lot of emails and personal comments that say, right on, thank you for writing it.
Well, that's fantastic. That's really good to hear, Ken.
It is.
So the good outnumber the bad.
Well, I don't know if the good outnumber the bad yet, but I'm certainly getting a lot of support for this.
I was going to say, have you heard from any gun control advocates who are trying to take you to the woodshed?
Well, I was at a City Club forum last Friday,
mm-hmm.
and the issue was gun control, and a lady named Toby Hoover, who's anti-gun, debated Jeff Garvis.
We actually had Jeff on the program Friday night.
Yeah, and Jeff was quite eloquent. You know, their arguments are based on their gut feelings, and they have nothing to do with law. They just don't like guns for whatever reasons.
Yeah.
Some people don't like snakes, and some don't like alligators. But the fact is, the constitutional right is not subject to the whim of some self-styled social do-gooder.
Absolutely. Well, Ken, listen, I'm glad that you wrote your response. I think it is an excellent one, and I'm so pleased you could come on the program tonight, sir. Thanks very much for your time, and look forward to doing this again soon.